People think Forbidden Island means skull flags and old pirate legends. Ours was just a red circle on a naval chart. No name, no myth, only a note in tiny print. Approach not recommended, unstable currents, and magnetic interference. We were a small research group working off the coast. 2 weeks cataloguing marine life, mapping seamounts, logging sonar anomalies. The island was never part of the plan. Until the storm hit. There were 6 of us aboard the Calypso Mare. Me, field oceanographer, Anna, navigation, Torres, captain, and 3 techs, Miller, Souza, and Jin. The storm turned faster than the forecast predicted. 1 minute, it was distant thunder and a darkening horizon. The next minute, walls of water were hitting us from the side. The boat shuddered, equipment slammed against bulkheads, and the GPS display started jumping like a slot machine. "We're drifting!" Anna shouted over the wind. "Currents reversed! This makes no sense!" The radar filled with noise, rain so dense it looked like land. The compass spun once, twice, then steadied, pointing wrong. "That's not possible," Torres muttered. We were heading east. I clung to the chart table, watching our plotted track drift toward the red circle, not by choice. Dragged. "Correct course!" I yelled. "We can't go that way, I'm trying!" Anna snapped, knuckles white on the wheel. "The sea doesn't care what's on your map!" It felt like something under the surface had hooked us and was gently, steadily pulling. When the storm finally broke, it did it like someone flicked a switch. Rain thinned, the sky opened in ripped patches, and visibility returned enough for the clouds to glow. That's when we saw it. Low on the horizon, dead ahead, a small dark mass of land, rising out of the sea like a bruise. The Forbidden Island. No beaches. Just black rock cliffs, vertical and wet, with only one visible notch. A narrow cove, like a small bite taken from the shoreline. "Shelter!" Torres said. "We ride it out there, drop anchor, wait for window, then get the hell out." "Is that smart?" Miller asked. The map isn't here," Torres cut. "We are." We slid into the cove on an uneasy swell. Inside, the water calmed unnaturally fast, as if the walls of rock were swallowing the waves. The cliffs rose nearly straight up around us, slick with algae and streaks of salt. No birds. No vegetation except a few tufts of something clinging to cracks higher up. It was like anchoring inside a throat. We dropped hook in 8 meters of strangely dark water. The anchor chain rattled, then fell silent. "All right," Torres said, trying to sound in control. "We sit, we fix systems, we radio in. Nobody goes ashore. This is just a rock." Nobody argued. Anna went to the radio, fingers still trembling. She tuned to the Coast Guard frequency, keyed the mic. "Coast Guard, this is research vessel Calypso Mare requesting status and assistance. We were caught in a storm, currently anchored near Uncharted Island at coordinates." Her voice cut off. The cabin filled with a loud crack of static, like the radio had been slapped. "Transmission power issue?" I asked. She frowned, checked connections, tried again. Same thing. The moment she spoke above a certain volume, the radio spat a violent burst of static, drowning her out. We tried different channels. Low voice, high voice, even Morse. Every time we attempted to send, something jammed us. Receiving worked fine. We could hear faint chatter between other vessels, weather reports, normal operation. They just couldn't hear us. "It's like this place doesn't want us," announced, Jin said quietly. We all laughed because the alternative was letting that sentence sink in. Hours passed. We ran diagnostics, ate in awkward silence, checked the anchor every 15 minutes. The sea outside the cove still moved. Wrong. Swells outside, a slow, oily calm inside. It wasn't until night fell that the island began to feel truly occupied. It started with the lights. We had deck lights on low, cabin lights dimmed. Enough to see, not enough to blind ourselves. The cliffs surrounded us on 3 sides, black shapes against a deep navy sky. I was on deck when the first one appeared, a small, pale glow high up on the cliff face. "Torres!" I called. "You seeing this?" He came out, squinting. At first I thought it was a reflection from us. But the glow moved, slowly, deliberately, like a lantern being carried along a ledge. Another appeared, a little lower. Then a third, near the mouth of the cove, hovering over the waterline. "Fishermen?" Miller said, hopeful. "Some kind of camp?" "There's no footing there," Torres said. "Look at the angle." He was right. The cliffs were almost smooth. No shelves big enough for a person to stand on, and yet the lights drifted horizontally, as if attached to invisible paths. We tried the radio again. "Any vessel in vicinity of coordinates..." Static. The three lights stopped moving at the same time. All three turned toward us. I say turned like they were eyes, and maybe that's just how my brain interpreted it. But that's how it felt. 3 points of pale, cold attention focusing on the warm, human glow of the boat. The temperature dropped. I could see my breath. One by one, our deck lights dimmed, not flickered, dimmed, smooth like someone was slowly lowering a dial. "Kill all non-essential systems," Torres barked. "Save battery." We shut down what we could, but the air now felt thick, like someone had packed the cove with invisible wool. Sound was muffled. The sea slapped lazily against the hull, quieter than it should have been. From somewhere deeper within the island, past the black stone, came a sound. Not waves, not wind. Something like a long, low breath exhaled through narrow lungs. Sousa swallowed. Did anyone else?" "Yes," Anna said, too fast. We didn't sleep much. Sometime past midnight, I woke up, needing air. The cabin felt oppressive. I slipped on a jacket and climbed to the deck. The sky had cleared, revealing a fat moon hanging low, painting the cliffs in monochrome silver and black. The three lights were gone. In their place, along the top edge of the cove, were shapes. Not clear, not detailed. Just slightly darker darkness, lined up along the rim, motionless, watching. I stood there, one hand on the rail, and the overwhelming certainty hit me. We were being counted. It was like the island was taking inventory. 6 humans, 1 boat, 1 anchor chain, 1 mistake. Behind me, down in the cabin, the radio crackled, not static, not chatter. My own voice. "Any vessel in vicinity of coordinates..." I froze. I hadn't keyed the mic. The radio wasn't transmitting. And yet there it was, a perfect playback of my earlier attempt at a call, words repeating in the same tone, the same small, nervous laugh at the end. Only I hadn't been the one speaking this time. I backed slowly down the ladder, heart pounding. The others were awake, faces pale, eyes wide. They'd heard it too. The radio hissed once, then fell silent. Screens that had been showing data now showed nothing but black, no error messages, just absence. "We're leaving at first light," Torres said. "No matter what the weather says, we pull anchor and go. Agreed?" No one objected. Dawn took forever to arrive. When it finally did, it crept in reluctantly, as if the sun itself was wary of looking too closely at this place. We prepared to leave, engine on, systems in manual. Torres went to the bow to oversee anchor retrieval. The chain rattled as the winch pulled, then it stopped with a jolt. "Snagged?" I called. "Hold," he answered. I went forward to help. The chain was taut, humming with tension, running down into water so dark it looked like a hole in the world. "Maybe it's stuck on a rock," I said. "Maybe," he replied, but he didn't sound convinced. We tried the usual tricks, easing off, changing angle with the engine, short bursts forward and back. The chain vibrated but didn't free. Then, with no input from us, it slackened. The winch whirred, pulling fast as the load disappeared. The chain rose, dripping black water, link after link, until the anchor broke the surface. For a heartbeat, we both just stared. The anchor was bent, not scratched, not hooked, bent. 2 flukes twisted inward like someone had grabbed them and squeezed. There were marks in the metal, not from rock, finger-like dents. "You're seeing this, right?" I whispered. Torres swallowed. "We're getting out, now!" The moment we cleared the mouth of the cove, all systems came back like nothing had happened. Screens lit, GPS locked, compass corrected. The island fell behind us, shrinking into a bruise on the horizon. We tried the radio again. This time it responded instantly. "Calypso Mare, we've been trying to reach you for hours. You vanished from radar. What happened?" Torres glanced at me. Storm interference, he said. We took shelter near a rock formation. Temporary system failure. But we're clear now. We knew better than to say we'd anchored in the middle of a charted restriction and something had bent our anchor like clay. That night, when we reviewed the logs, we found something else. The audio folder where our radio tests should have been was corrupted. Every file that started with us saying "This is Calypso Mare" was gone, in their place. 6 identical audio files, all the same length. Each contained only one thing, our own call for help. Looped, repeating. Layered with a second voice underneath, too low to isolate, but always breathing in between our words, like the island itself had tried on our distress signal like a mask. We marked the red circle on a printed chart with a thick black X and put the paper away. Digital maps can be erased. Paper can be lost. The ocean forgets. Some places under the sky don't. If you search hard enough, you might still find the video. Not the uploaded one. The final cut got taken down within 48 hours. I mean the raw footage. The one where the camera keeps rolling after all of us should have been out of frame. That was the last job I took as a freelance cameraman for exploration channels. We were hired to film a special episode for a mid-sized YouTube crew that did abandoned places and forgotten war ruins. Their pitch sounded simple. Secret World War II bunkers on a restricted island. No one's filmed it properly. We'll be the first. They'd found rumors on forums. A small island used as a coastal defense point decades ago, now off limits. Restricted waters, no tourist routes, marked as hazard zone on charts. Of course, that made them want it more. The team was 5 people plus me. Dax, presenter, channel face, charismatic, reckless Lena. Producer, very practical, always with a checklist. Ezra, sound and backup camera coder. Drone and tech guy Jules. Historian voiceover, there for credibility me. Camera operator, external hire. We chartered a small boat from a local captain who insisted he wouldn't get closer than a certain line on his GPS. Tarifa é essa, he said, tapping a point on the screen. Daqui pra lá, vocês vão sozinhos. Esse lugar não gosta de gente. We laughed. He didn't. We rowed out at dawn. The sea was unnaturally flat, the sky washed out. After an hour, the captain slowed. He pointed. There. Vocês descem ali com o bote. Eu fico fora da zona e espero até o fim da tarde. Se não voltarem, eu volto sozinho. Up ahead, the island rose out of the water. A low, forested mass ringed with rock and broken concrete. We could see the suggestion of old structures near the tree line. No dock, no beach umbrellas, no signs of modern use. Forbidden Islands don't come with skulls and crossbones. They just sit there, waiting. We loaded into an inflatable raft with gear stacked in the middle, outboard motor whining as Dax steered us toward a narrow cut in the rocks. Look at that, Lena said, nodding at the shoreline. Perfect production value, feels illegal just looking at it. The closer we got, the more details emerged. Half-collapsed bunkers, concrete pillboxes facing the sea. A rusted metal staircase leading up the cliff, eaten by salt. Thick vegetation choking everything above the waterline. No birds, no insects. Just the motor, and then, when we cut it, nothing. We beached the raft on a sliver of stony shore. Wet sand sucked at our boots. As soon as we stepped onto the island, an irrational thought crossed my mind. We are inside something now. Dax turned to camera, switched on his performance voice. All right, guys, we made it. Off-limits island, ex-military zone, allegedly used and then abandoned after the war. No one has permission to be here, but we're gonna find out what they left behind. I framed him with the bunkers in the background, gray and angry against the tree line. We climbed the rusted staircase, one by one. Every step groaned but held. At the top, the island opened into a network of overgrown concrete paths and low, squat buildings half buried in dirt. You could still see the layout, command post, lookout structures, ammunition stores. Long corridors of concrete, some open to the sky, others going underground. It would have been any exploration channel's dream location. It just didn't feel empty. Even before we got inside, every sound we made came back wrong. Ezra tested a clap for sound levels and frowned. That's weird, he said. The delay's off. It's not bouncing right. Cheap mic, Coda said. Let's get some drone shots. While they argued, I did what I always do, rolled B-roll, details, cracked paint. Old signage in flaking letters. A rusted door hanging crookedly from one hinge. That's when I noticed the first camera. It took my brain a moment to process. Mounted high on the corner of a bunker, half hidden by vines, was a modern security camera. White casing, glass eye, a little green LED on the side. Guys, I called. I thought this place was abandoned. Everyone looked up. The camera stared back, unblinking. Could be military, Lena said. Monitoring, maybe they use it as a training ground. There's no power lines, Jules said quietly. No generator noise. We found 3 more cameras within 10 minutes. All modern. All pointed at entryways. All with their little LEDs pulsing faintly. Maybe they're dead and just stuck like that, Coda suggested. Let's not freak out. We film, we get our money, we go. Dax loved it. This is even better, he said to my lens. They say the island is abandoned, but someone's watching. The question is, who? He grinned. It felt forced. We started inside. The bunkers were exactly what you'd expect. Claustrophobic corridors, peeling paint, rusted fixtures. We passed old bunks, a mess hall with tables bolted to the floor, storage rooms with empty racks. But there were signs of more recent presence. A plastic water bottle crushed in a corner. A cigarette butt not fully disintegrated. A food wrapper that belonged to a brand launched only a few years ago. Other explorers, Jules whispered. Or patrols. We filmed room after room. The air felt stale, but not deadly. No mold, just dust and the weight of old air. The first truly wrong thing happened in an underground corridor. It was a narrow passage with pipes overhead, walls sweating slightly. We set up for a walking shot. Dax in front, me backing up, Ezra behind me, Lena and Jules out of frame. As we walked, Dax talked about troop movements, ammunition storage, the history of the base. His voice echoed in the low space, thin but present. When we reached the end of the corridor, I stopped to review the shot on my screen. The first part looked fine. Torch beams, Dax talking, footsteps, my own breathing. Halfway through, something changed. The audio doubled. Dax's words played twice. Once in sync with his mouth, then, layered underneath, a fraction of a second late. At first it sounded like reverb. Then the second voice started to drift. It kept saying the same words, same sentences. But the timing slipped, like a bad dub. Consonants stretched, vowels lagged. By the end of the shot, the second voice wasn't just late. It was out of sync entirely, speaking his lines after his mouth had already closed. "Did you add something?" I asked Ezra. He shook his head, staring at the waveform. "I recorded one channel, no processing. This shouldn't be happening live." We replayed the clip twice more. The double voice remained. "Glitch," Lena said tightly. "We fix later. Keep moving." So we did. Deeper in, the layout shifted. Some rooms had been partially stripped, metal removed, doors taken off hinges. One chamber, however, looked untouched. A small control room with a desk bolted to the floor and a bank of old screens on the wall. In front of the screens, on a tripod, sat a modern video camera. It was aimed directly at the doorway, at us. The on-screen menu was in a language I didn't recognize. The red REC icon glowed in the corner. The timer ticked up. "It's recording," Coda said. "Maybe someone left it," Dax said, pushing bravado. "Some other crew. Maybe we're pranking them by accident." "They'd need power," Jules whispered. The camera had no cable, no visible battery pack mounted on the back. It just sat there, lens watching, little red light blinking. I stepped closer, my own camera still rolling, to peek at the small LCD screen. It didn't show us. The feed was a live shot of the same room, from the same angle, but empty. No people, no lights. Only the desk, the chairs, the dead monitors. Behind me, I heard Dax say something. His voice came through my headphones twice again, slightly misaligned. "Guys," I whispered, "you should see this." Before they could move, one of the old CRT monitors on the wall buzzed and flickered to life. The screen showed the island's exterior, our approach, our raft, us climbing the rusted stairs from above. Ezra swore softly. "That's drone footage," he said, "but I haven't launched the drone yet." "Maybe someone else filmed before," Lena said. "Then why is it still rolling?" he shot back. We watched ourselves on the screen in delayed third person, like actors in a security tape. We reached the top of the stairs, looked around, talked. In the video, at the very edge of frame, the corner of one bunker roof was visible. On it, a dark shape stood perfectly still, watching us. It wasn't there in real life. None of us had seen it when we arrived. Now in the glitchy, flickering feed, it existed. Tall, lean, wrong in proportion, like a human figure drawn by someone who had never actually seen one, only heard it described. Its head turned slowly toward the camera, then back to the tiny figures of us. The feed cut. The room plunged into deeper silence. "I'm done," Jules said, stepping back. "We have enough. This is not worth whatever—" The ceiling above us groaned. Dust rained down. Somewhere in the bunker network, a door slammed, the sound reverberating through concrete like a gunshot. "Out," Lena said. "We're leaving. Now." We didn't argue. We retraced our steps through the corridors, our lights jittering over stained walls. In one hallway, we passed a side room with an open door. I had no intention of looking inside, but my lamp swung that way as I moved. For a second, I saw us. Not reflections, not shadows. Our group standing in the same formation we had earlier, frozen mid-step in a shot I remembered filming at the start of the day. Same clothes, same body language. No faces, just blurred suggestion where features should be. Then we were past the doorway, and the room was empty. I didn't slow down to confirm. We burst out into the humid daylight like divers surfacing. I'd never been so relieved to see the ugly concrete paths, the rusted stairs, the indifferent sea. Down at the shoreline, our raft bobbed quietly. Relief washed through me. We could leave. "Let's go," Dak said. "We can do the outro from the boat." We loaded gear with shaking hands. When the last case was in, I turned to look back at the island one more time. Up on the bunker roof where the shape had stood in the feed, I saw movement, just for a heartbeat. A dark outline, vanishing as soon as my brain tried to focus on it. Back on the chartered boat, the captain looked at our faces and didn't ask questions. "Vocês demoraram demais," he said. "Esse lugar prende gente." None of us argued. Weeks later, after NDAs and content reviews and tense meetings, I got a chance to see some of the raw footage again. The channel had decided to scrap most of it, claim technical issues, and move on. I clicked on a random file from the middle of the shoot. It opened on an interior bunker shot. Empty hallway, no people, no sound but the faint hiss of room tone. Then from somewhere beyond the frame, footsteps. They approached the camera slowly, crunching on unseen debris. My heart started to beat faster, even though I knew I was alone in my room, hundreds of kilometers away. The camera jolted as if someone had picked it up. The view swung toward a doorway. Beyond it, a glimpse of daylight and the outline of the sea. The audio picked up breathing, not mine, not anyone's I recognized from the trip. Slow, deliberate, like someone savoring the act. Then, clear as if someone had leaned right up to the microphone, a voice. "We'll film you next time!" I closed the file and unplugged the drive. You can call it fake. You can say we edited it. You can say we made it up to sell a video that never aired. I hope you're right. Because if that's not the case, then there's a forbidden island out there with cameras still running inside old bunkers, replaying every visitor it's ever had, while it waits patiently to add new footage. I was never supposed to sleep on that island. I'm a disaster response coordinator. My job is to assess damage after storms, not chase legends. But sometimes, the two overlap. The island didn't have a name on the forms, just a code. Sector 9B, restricted. A tiny landmass off a remote coast, marked as inhabited, historic, and no docking without authorization. It sat right in the path of a Category 4 storm that had torn roofs off the mainland and snapped trees like matchsticks. My supervisor called it an old fishing settlement no one lives in anymore. Our mission, Fly in with a small team, take structural photos, verify if anyone was still there, and get out. We were four: me, lead; Rafa, logistics and drone operator; Camilla, medic; and Ortiz, pilot, ex-military, silent type. The helicopter ride was longer than I liked, over open water. Clouds still hung low, shredded remains of the storm, and the sea below looked bruised. When the island came into view, my first thought was, someone forgot to tell this place it was abandoned. There were houses. 2 neat rows of simple wooden homes facing a central dirt path, all painted in muted colors. Gray-blue, faded red, algae green, roofs intact, windows unbroken, laundry lines strung between posts, empty but still there. A small chapel with a crooked bell tower, a pier with mooring posts, and not a single person in sight. Ortiz circled once. No movement, no smoke, no animals, just stillness. Doesn't look damaged, he said. Where do you want to set down? Near the pier, I said, more to fill the silence than anything. We'll do a quick sweep and be gone in an hour. He set us down on a flat patch near the shoreline. The rotors carved the air, sand and dead leaves whipped around us. When the engine finally died, the silence dropped like a lid. It wasn't the normal quiet of a small village. It was surgical. No insects, no distant birds, no lapping of waves against the pier, even though we could see the water moving. Just nothing. Rafa noticed it too. Feels like someone hit mute on the world. I pulled out my clipboard because procedures feel like armor. Okay, we split in pairs. Me and Rafa check the houses on the left. Camila, você e o Ortiz verificam a capela, o lado direito e o pier. Radios on, check in every 15. We walked into the village. Up close, the houses looked recently used. Doors closed but not locked. Floorboards dusty but not thick. On one porch, a pair of boots sat neatly side by side, pointing at the door. Inside the first house, dishes were stacked in a basin, as if waiting to be washed. A chair lay on its side in the middle of the kitchen, like someone had gotten up in a hurry. No signs of flooding, no obvious storm damage. Maybe they evacuated, Rafa said. Boats came, took everyone, fast. Then why leave everything exactly like this? I said, nudging the fallen chair upright. And why is this island still marked as restricted if it's just a fishing spot? In the back room, we found a bed with a quilted blanket. On the small table beside it lay a rosary, a cracked photograph of a family, and a notebook. Rafa picked up the notebook carefully, flipping through pages. Old journal, he said. Last entry, it looks like years ago, nothing about evacuating. I stepped back out onto the main path while he read. From there, I could see down the line of houses, all in that same uncanny state between lived in and abandoned. The silence pressed in. Base team status? I called over the radio. Static, then Camilla's voice. Capela vazia, sem sinais de gente. Some candles, some pictures of local saints, nothing fresh. Heading toward right side houses. Ortiz added. Pier is intact. Ropes, hooks, no boats tied right now. Water's weirdly calm. Copy, I said. We'll finish this side, then regroup. We moved house to house. Same pattern. Lives interrupted, but not by chaos. No broken plates, no overturned furniture beyond 1 or 2 small things. More like whoever lived there stood up one day, stepped outside, and simply never came back in. The 5th house is where I stopped pretending this was just strange. On the wall near the door, someone had carved words into the wood, deep and frantic. Não responda quando chamarem, não siga voz, nenhuma se quiser sair. Faça silêncio, do not answer when they call. Do not follow any voice. If you want to leave, stay silent. Yeah, Rafa muttered, reading over my shoulder. I suddenly don't want to be here anymore. The radio crackled. Hey, Camilla said. Weird question, mas... Vocês entraram em alguma casa e chamaram a gente pelo nome? Negative, I said. We're on the left side only. Why? A pause. Because we just heard someone call Camila from between the houses, tipo voz de homem. Mas não era o Ortiz. I looked at Rafa. His eyes had widened. Stay together, I said into the radio, voice tighter. Don't follow any sound. Meet us de volta na Praça Central agora. On our way, Ortiz said. We stepped back out into the main path. The air felt heavier, like the space between the houses had filled with something dense and invisible. From somewhere towards the back of the village, faint but clear, a woman's voice called, "Rafa!" He stiffened. It was perfect. Same pitch, same rhythm as a voicemail I'd heard his girlfriend leave a dozen times. "Don't," I said sharply. "You know she's not here." He swallowed, nodded, but his feet had already shifted half a step toward the sound. We stood still. The voice came again, closer this time. "Rafa, where are you?" The houses ahead gaped open, dark interiors like mouths. "Camilla," I said into the radio, "confirm your position." Silence. "Camilla, rispondi." Static. From my left, in the narrow gap between two houses, something moved. Just a flicker. A shape pulling back like a person stepping out of sight. I saw the suggestion of hair, a shoulder, the corner of a dress. But wrong somehow, like a sketch someone hadn't finished. I grabbed Rafa's sleeve. "We are going back to the chopper. Now." "We have to get there," he said. "Camilla, if we run around this village chasing voices, none of us get out." We moved to the central path. They know the rendezvous point. We backed toward the open area near the chapel. Every step felt like walking through thick water. The silence had layers now. Like it wasn't empty, it was full of sounds being held back. At the chapel entrance, I saw Ortiz. He stood in the middle of the dirt street, facing away from us, body rigid. No sign of Camilla. "Ortiz!" I called. He didn't move. We approached slowly. The dirt around his boots was disturbed, like he'd been turning in place. "Ortiz," I repeated, softer, closer. "Where's Camilla?" He turned his head a fraction, just enough for me to see his eyes. They were glassy, not unfocused exactly. More like he was listening to something far away. "She's on the beach," he said. His voice sounded normal, too normal. "She wants us to come. She's calling." I glanced at Rafa. He shook his head almost imperceptibly. "There is no beach on this island," I said. "Just cliffs." He blinked. A muscle in his jaw twitched. From somewhere behind the row of houses, clear as a bell, came Camilla's voice. "Gente vem logo! I found survivors!" Every instinct screamed at me. The carved words flashed in my mind. "Non responda quando chamarim." Rafa's hand tightened on my arm. That did sound like her." "That's the point," I said. We stood like that for several seconds, the island holding its breath around us. Then, beneath my feet, the ground hummed. Very softly. A vibration, deep and slow, like a heartbeat in stone. The windows of the houses rattled. The chapel bell swung once, giving a single dull chime. "Enough," I said, more to whatever was listening than to the team. "We're leaving." "Camilla is—" Ortiz started. "If she answers the wrong call, we won't find her by walking deeper into this," I said. "We regroup at the helicopter, now." I expected an argument. Instead, something in my tone or in the islands shut them up. We moved, not running, not strolling, just deliberate, steady walking back toward the clearing. As we reached the edge of the village, the voices got louder. Not just Camilla's. Dozens. Men, women, children, all speaking at once from between the houses, behind doors, under floorboards. They weren't words at first. Just the shape of speech, murmurs, questions, pleas, rising and falling, always just at the edge of understanding. Then, as we stepped onto the rocky ground near the chopper, all of them synced. They spoke as one. My name. My full name. 3 times. The sound crawled up my spine like ice. Rafa fumbled with the side door. Ortiz climbed into the cockpit, hands shaking. I turned one last time to look at the village. Every doorway was dark, every window black. And yet I had the overwhelming sense of being watched by hundreds of eyes from inside those houses, just behind the glass. The chapel bell moved again, a barely there swing that made no sound this time, just the motion. The helicopter blades started turning. The sound of the rotors pushed the island's presence back a few inches, enough to breathe. As we lifted off, Rafa shouted and pointed. Down near the path between the second and third house, Camilla stood. At least, that's what my eyes insisted. She was facing us, one arm raised, waving. But she was wrong. The proportions were slightly off. The arm moved like it had just learned how. Her hair flowed in a wind we didn't feel. And her mouth wasn't forming help or wait. It was forming our names, over and over. The higher we climbed, the smaller she became, until she was just a dark pinprick in a neatly arranged, silent village. "Should we—" Rafa started. "We're not going back," I said. On the flight home, no one spoke. We filed a report, island structurally intact, no survivors present, location not suitable for habitation due to unexplained environmental and acoustic anomalies. I wrote something else in my private notebook. That island doesn't need people. It remembers voices, it keeps them, and it will use any name it learns to get more.